Let religion be to us a security and serenity because of its truth and beauty, and because of the enduring worth and power of the loyalties which it engenders.
Let it be to us hope and purpose, and the discovery of opportunities to express our best through daily tasks.
Religion, uniting us with all that is admirable in human beings everywhere.
Holding before our eyes the prospect of a better life for humankind, which each may help to make actual.
All right.
I am. I'm making it short.
It goes on.
I'm happy that it's the second Sunday of June when we have our special performers. And today we have Andy Gwynn, who's been coming to us from the Presbyterian Church for quite a few years. He's a multi-instrumentalist, a singer-songwriter, and a founding member of the worship band at Black Mountain Presbyterian Church. He's retired from the North Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice and has lived in Black Mountain since 1983.
Cool. Anybody go to the great yard sale at Black Mountain? Was that a crazy scene?
Yeah.
I didn't go
It was
down there because I knew it would be just like maximum crazy. We had a lot, some of us had post-Helene trauma. Because as a lot of you probably know, during the aftermath of Helene, our church was basically filled with supplies and all kinds of stuff for people to come and pick up what they needed. And so when all our halls and everything was full of stuff again, it was just like, oh my God. I'll get it in June pretty soon. I can blame it on the humidity, you know. So if you don't know the music of Mary Gauthier, probably somebody worth checking out. She came up rough. Adoption, addiction, some, halfway houses. At some point, she managed to get her life turned around and became a chef and a restaurateur, and then later in life, a songwriter. And she's written some great stuff. And this is one of them. And it's definitely I think it's a song for our time. Sure, it's called Mercy Now. My father could use a little mercy now. The fruits of his labor falling right slowly on the ground. His work is almost over. It won't be long. He won't be around. I love my father, but he could use some mercy now. My brother could use a little mercy now. He's a stranger to freedom. He's shackled to his fear and his doubt. The pain that he lives in almost more than living can allow. I love my brother, he could use some mercy now. My church and my country could use a little mercy now. As they sink into a poison pit, gonna take forever to climb out. They carry the weight of the faithful who follow them down. I love my church and country, but they could use some mercy now. It seems like every living thing could use a little mercy now. Only the hand of grace can end the race towards another mushroom cloud. People in power, they'll do anything to keep their crown. I love life itself could use some mercy now. Yeah, we all could use a little mercy now. I know we don't deserve it, but we need it anyhow. We hang in the balance, dangle between hell and hallowed ground. Every single one of us could use some mercy now. Yeah, every single one of us could use some mercy now, me included. Every single one of us could use some mercy now. Those are some good words, aren't they? Check her out, Mary Crochet.
Good work. All righty. Thank you again, Ed. Let's give him another one. Okay, so now's the time in the service when we invite you to share a joy and a concern. I put water in this morning, which I do once a month. And your fire is there, the earth is there and the stones, all the elements, the water is there. The floor is yours. Robert Times, I just want to say you make my heart sing, seeing you and Betty back here. It was a little scary for a minute.
Yeah. Long way.
Glad to hear. Does anybody need me to bring them these stones? Wow.
Michael, that's what you call dropping the mic.
Yes. You got some more jokes, don't you?
But none of them about ball people.
Linda made me do that. No stones for any bald people or anyone else? Okay. I'll drop one in. Sorry. This is for those of you who, for whatever reason, decided not to come up. Just know we keep you in our thoughts and prayers and hearts and minds. I want to share with you a meditation by Dr. Howard Thurman that actually would have fit right in with the sermon on evil, but I think this will resonate with you, and afterwards we'll have our time of quiet as usual. This is called Life Goes On. So please center yourself in prayer and meditation as you are most comfortable. During these turbulent times, we must remind ourselves repeatedly that life goes on. This we are apt to forget. The wisdom of life transcends our wisdoms. The purpose of life outlasts our purposes. The process of life cushions our processes. The mass attack of disillusion and despair, distilled out of the collapse of hope, has so invaded our thoughts that what we know to be true and valid oftentimes seems unreal and ephemeral. There seems to be little energy left for aught but futility. But this is the great deception. By its whole peoples have gone down to oblivion without the will to affirm the great and permanent strength of the clean and the commonplace. Let us not be deceived. It is just as important as ever to attend to the little graces by which the dignity of our lives is maintained and sustained. Birds still sing. The stars continue to cast their gentle gleam over the desolation of battlefields. And the heart is still inspired by the kind word and the gracious deed. There is no need to fear evil. There is every need to understand what it does, how it operates in the world, what it draws upon to sustain itself. You and I must not shrink from the knowledge of the evilness of evil. Over and over, we must know that the real target of evil is not the destruction of the body, the reduction to rubble of our cities. The real target of evil is to corrupt the spirit of humanity and to give the human soul the contagion of inner disintegration. When this happens, there is nothing left. The very citadel of humankind is captured and laid waste. Therefore, the evil in the world around us must not be allowed to move from without to within. This would be to be overcome by evil. To drink in the beauty that is within reach, to clothe one's life with simple deeds of kindness, to keep alive a sensitiveness to the movement of the Spirit of God that occurs in the quietness of our hearts, the human heart, and in the workings of the human mind. This is, as always, the ultimate answer to the great deception. And so while our minds are one for this brief moment, I leave you all with the eloquence of silence. You ruined it, brother. I need to see you after church. You ruined that moment. It was... It's all good. I leave you. We come back to the eloquence of silence. And so it is. The greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it, says my favorite philosopher, William James. And so in that spirit, we collect this morning's offering.
So we just had a significant anniversary 2 days ago that mostly went unnoticed. Anybody know what I'm talking about? D-Day. 81st anniversary of D-Day, June 6, 1944. And it was interesting to me that there was so little made of it. Not anything in the newspaper. There were a couple of comics, actually, on the comics page that made allusion to it. Makes me think that we have a way of just kind of trying to forget bad stuff, and maybe that's part of our problem, is we don't learn from history. At any rate, I wrote this song some years ago, and it is in honor of all veterans, anybody who has served. It's called Letters from Home. It's been so hot these last few days, hard to keep a thought inside in your head. Thunderstorm rolled through the other night, peeled the tin roof off the shed. Aunt Jean's tomatoes are coming in, they're so much sweeter than the ones you buy. Those beans that she planted must be magic, they reach right up to the sky. I know that you can't say just where you are, or even call me on the phone. So I guess I'll have to satisfy myself sending these letters from home. I ran into Rebecca yesterday. She was your first girlfriend. She been eating too much ice cream, or maybe she's pregnant again. There's a picture of her somewhere, all dolled up for the high school dance. You got the car stuck on Lover's Lane that night, trying to get into her pants. Walked a mile across the cornfield in your tux before you finally found the phone. You know, it's strange what I remember when I sit and write these letters from home. I guess I should be closing. Your dad sends his love. We will keep you in our prayers every day as we thank the Lord above. You keep yourself together now. Keep your head down low. And next week you can depend on another letter from home. I know I should get a computer, but I'm not sure I can even turn one on. Just keep doing it the old-fashioned way, sending these letters from home. Thank you. It's an honor to play that song.
I wanted to, but we don't really have the time. I wanted to quote some theologians and mental health professionals about the difference between functional religion and dysfunctional religion, and if I can fit it in, I will. But if not, you can do your research on that. The context is with people who believe in a God, you know, you look at things that go on around you, and for instance, the philosopher Bertrand Russell said, he was an agnostic, and he said, for people who believe in God, why don't you come with me to a children's clinic? And you see the kids, and they have cancer and various diseases and what have you. And how can you believe in that? And then you have other people who it sustains their faith. It makes them even more spiritual or religious. And I'm reminded that the highest evolute for someone is not from going from being a religious person to an atheist. That's not the highest evolute. Sometimes it's the other way around. But there is some religion that draws us together, and there's some religion that pulls us apart. And so I wanted to title this morning, I was going to change it, but it wouldn't have mattered, Religion in Crisis. But religion in crisis will suffice. People are searching. People are frightened. They are looking for security, or at least some semblance of it. And these are the times that try our souls. And it's precisely at times like this that people look to religion for guidance and consolation. The fact remains that whether or not one identifies his or herself as a humanist, as religious or spiritual, or none of those, we are all on the hunt for meaning and answers in times like these. Religion, as I'm using it, is defined as, a kind of a social cultural system of designated behaviors and practices, and that includes worldviews and sacred texts and narratives, prophecies, that kind of thing. Because there's no really scholarly consensus over what precisely constitutes a religion. So I want you to remember that in this context, we are talking about, when I use the word spiritual, or even religion, I'm talking about the cultivation of your inner life. So it's not so woo-woo. I'm talking about where you draw the line in the sand of your own personal life. What do you stand for? What will you not stand for? What do you feel about the cosmos and your place in it? That's what I'm talking about. And that's very personal, and it's different for each and every one of us. But that's when I'm talking about the spiritual, I'm talking about your inner life, how you navigate that. For many today, as in the times of old, religion was looked largely upon as an immature person's response to difficult times. This is what Kenneth Pargament, he's a PhD, professor emeritus of psychology at Bowling Green State University, who since the 1980s has been on the forefront of research on religion and resilience. So despite the attitudes he faced at the time, Dr. Pargamon and a handful of others, they pressed on, conducting research on the impact of religion on people's mental health. And I want to share a little bit of that with you, and then we're going to go deeper. The search identified positive and negative forms of religious coping, as well as evidence that reveals that how people experience and express their faith has implications for their health and well-being, whether you agree with it or not. And I'm just saying that to my atheist brothers and sisters there. You don't have to agree with it, but the data shows that it helps. People who have made more use of positive religious coping methods had better outcomes than those who struggled with God, their faith, or other people about sacred matters. What are those positive effects? Research shows that religion can help people cope with adversity by encouraging people to reframe events through a more hopeful lens. Positive religious reframing can help people transcend stressful times by enabling them to see tragedy, to see Helene, to see COVID-19, to see Weimar Germany, if you will, as a tragedy that it is, but enabling them to grow closer to a higher power to improve their lives. Positive religion fosters a sense of connectedness. Some people see religion as making them a part of something larger than themselves. We say, oh, well, I'm seeking community. This can happen through prayer and meditation, to sitting out on that bench right there, to just listening to good music, or just walking alone outside. Cultivating connection through rituals. Religious rituals and rites of passage assist people in acknowledging that there is a sacred time, there is chronos time, and there is kairos time, events that mark the beginning of something or the ending. They help and guide sustain people through difficult transitions in short times like these. Now, one does not have to be religious to make this happen. I want to be clear with you. But it does help. It does help. Unfortunately, there is dysfunctional religion that undermine this kind of healing during stressful times. These religious negative expressions include feeling punished by an angry, jealous God. Trauma and tragedy can challenge conceptions of God as all-loving and all-protective. Anger, abandonment, and being punished or feeling that way can be experienced. It will make you feel that if I didn't do anything wrong, for instance, and I have COVID or cancer or what have you, then I will look for something that I've done to justify it, because I can't wrap my mind around that a loving God would do this. And then some people just say, I got to rethink this. This God is no longer working for me. Putting everything in God's hands, not taking responsibility for one's actions, not taking your medication. Okay, I'm just going to shun all responsibility, not taking any precautions. I saw people doing this during COVID-19. God will protect me from the virus. Having difficulty making decisions for fear of not being able to handle the outcome. An example is healthcare workers treating coronavirus patients. Many describe the anguish they feel as they are being forced to decide, how do I allocate limited resources? Decisions, how do I triage this? Decisions that put them in the role of playing God. if you will. This is not good. The fact of the matter is that religion has been helping people get through the hard times for thousands of years. Just pick up the book of Psalms. So let's go a bit deeper and let's expand this. It's a curious fact that human beings in times of crisis must constantly be reminded. And you know, I'm leaving next Sunday. And I told you that my sermons, you know, we're going to kind of build or just try to leave you with some tools so that you don't flip out over the summer. The economy is going to get rough. It's getting a little hotter in LA because the National Guard is there. You know what I mean? It's going to get a little crazy for a minute. And my job and what I want to do and what I try to do and what I would do whether I was a minister or not, because I'm a philosopher and teacher by nature, is that to try to remind you, not change your mind, I'm too old for that, but to just plant a seed that the contradictions of life are never final contradictions, ever. And that you gotta take a long view, man. You gotta go up in a balloon and look down, because if I look just straight on the horizon, it looks really, really apocalyptic. And it still may be. So it's a curious fact that when trouble comes, we have to be reminded that the crisis does not mark the end of all things. When Helene came, and yes, you know, people's houses floated down the street. Trees fell on people and their homes. I mean, and people bounced back. People have been doing this ever since human beings have been on the planet. That's what we do. So I'm not saying don't celebrate the human spirit, but it keeps you from feeling like a victim, because our ancestors had to deal with this ever since we've been on the planet. And we have to remind ourselves it is part of human nature to let a crisis so dominate our thoughts so that everything that is not directly related to the crisis seems irrelevant and without significance. That's not wise to do that. It's not wise. It's not good for your nervous system. And yet the human spirit is not ultimately willing to accept the contradictions of life as being ultimate. We all, on some deep level, know that we will keep going. It may go without me or us, but we will keep going. Howard Thurman reminds us of this when he says that the contradictions of life are never final contradictions. Remember, I remind you, Good Friday has to come before Easter. That's life. When the times are out of joint and it appears that human beings have lost their reason, kind of like now, there continues to be a margin of life that is on the side of good. That's on the side of good. And we are reminded that the ultimate destiny of a human being is to strive toward that good. And if the ultimate destiny of human beings is good, then you and I must find a way in the present, a life that is worth living. We must work for the kind of world in which even the weakest may find refuge and refreshment. We are all in a quest for a way of life that is worth living. I was scrolling on Facebook the other morning, and I always see this young Buddhist brother, but I keep scrolling by because I'm either running late or whatever, and I'm like, I know what he's going to say. But the other day I said, well, let me listen to this brother. And it was the interviewer had asked him, are you happy? And I love his answer. He said, I'm a little hesitant to answer that question. He said, I have been happy and I've been unhappy because you can't appreciate one without the other. He said, in my life, I've been happy and unhappy. He said, but what I am is I'm at peace. And he said, that's what I'm about now. Because happiness will come and go. And I love the Dalai Lama. I just don't agree that and maybe he's changed, but the goal of my life is to be happy. I'm not feeling that. But I do want to be at peace. That way, no matter what comes, I can weather it. And that's what these sermons over the last month or so, I've been trying to get you to see that. Not to bug you or get on your nerves, even though I'm good at doing that. but just so, because we share that. Because then you go out and then we become a more peaceful people. And we can handle whatever life throws at us. We want to feel that we are engaged in a total experience of life that is meaningful. And if this is not true for us, then life grows stale and dingy and monotonous. Look at our country at the moment. We as a nation are engaged in numerous wars and some of them you didn't even know. We were fighting in Africa, in Africa, and some of these things. At least I was like, boy, I thought you told me, but it's just the way it is. But there's pestilence, there's civil unrest, and there's strife in the land. The earth, our ecosystem, is angry with her children, and her temper seems to be running short. And all of the details of our lives are shifted, and they're kind of thrown out of balance. Something is at stake. The ordinary individual, and I noticed this myself during COVID, because there was all these rules you had to follow all of a sudden. Do I mask? Do I not? I stand back this far. In Ingalls, do I stand close? It was all these rules all of a sudden. And so the ordinary individual all of a sudden now counted in some strange new way. We were more than numbers now. All of a sudden we had to watch out what you were doing. So you take, for instance, again, the virus. Whether or not we agreed or wanted to comply, the country needed us in a new way because of the virus. The country cared about what we did all of a sudden in a new way, in the same way it does in a time of war. Because we're always at war. We were at war with the coronavirus. We're at war against drugs. We're at war against cancer. It's just amazing. Our culture loves to be at war with something or someone. And language can betray us in many ways, but that's another talk for another time. Yet again and again, we are told at a time of crisis that everyone and everything counts. So something is in the air. It took a virus, because we're so numb about talking about war. But it took a virus to make us realize that there is something so vitally dependent upon even the most ordinary citizen and human being. And so it's the minister's task. It's his or her task, or the task of religion, to call attention again and again to the fact that something more than one's country is at stake. Every day, every moment of every day. What is at stake? I'm glad you asked. You seem riveted. It's your God. It's your God. Because whatever you give the most time to, whatever is your most ultimate concern, says theologian Paul Tillich, what you worship and adore. You want to know what your God is? At the end of the year, tally up all the hours of the thing you gave the most time to. And then you know what your God is. How one lives is never merely your own personal business, for we are all children of the universe, and we are all connected. The truth remains, even during and when there's a crisis. That never changes. Where your treasure is where your heart is also, Rabbi Jesus tells us. For better or for worse, we are tied together. And so religion in a time of crisis, healthy religion, must also assist us in declaring that our faith be held honestly and intelligently. Living each day is an act of faith about ourselves. I'll give you an illustration. Despite all the things I know about myself, the good and the bad, the shadow and the light, I will never give up on myself. I may give up on you, but I will never give up on myself. I'm not as good as my mother or daughter may think I am. I'm not as bad as others think I am, but I don't give up on myself. Again and again, I make an act of faith towards myself. And this act of faith rises out of something deeper and deeper that sustains me. I also make an act of faith towards my fellow human beings, even my national enemies. Robert Thurman once said that so much that is not good has come from me toward my fellow human beings, that I've learned to look with compassion on much that flows from my fellow human beings towards me. Why is that? Because we mirror each other. And it's easy to forget that in times like these. Religion insists upon this as the only antidote, so you don't start hating people. So you don't have hate in your heart, especially in times of war, which we always are in now. Geographical wars, culture wars, wars against pestilence and violence. See, because I've lived through 2 plagues. I lived through AIDS, the AIDS crisis, which was a pestilence, and the coronavirus. Hopefully there'll be one more that I'll live through, because there will be another one, you know that. But whatever the circumstances, whether or not you and I created them, I am responsible for my responses. I am responsible for my actions. The fact remains that I cannot be who I ought to be until you are who you ought to be. And you can't be who you ought to be until I am who I ought to be. We must all proclaim the truth that life is one, and this is our interconnectedness. This is part of our principles. This is our interdependent web. So religious or not, it's rhetorical, but I'm asking you, what and who is your God? At the end of the year, just look at what you gave most of your time to, and you will have your answer. It is our assignment to announce to the world that lives matter, that we are all accountable. We all live under a scrutiny of some sort. Alan Watts reminds us that religion, good religion, has the task of turning anxiety into laughter. And we do that here. We laugh here a lot. And that's healthy. That's good. We're not, wound up tighter than a crab's you know what. At the same time, you must live and proclaim a faith, theistic or humanistic, that will make others affirm themselves and their fellow human beings as children of the Creator. So we must lay our lives on the altar of social change so that whoever you are, that there is the kingdom and the queendom of love. I mean, that's really what this is all about, isn't it? Remember, any truth, this is Howard Thurman, so I'm going to say it twice. Any truth that is found in religion is there because it's true. It's not true simply because it's found in the religion. I'll say it again. Any truth found in religion is there because it's true. It's not true simply because it's found in the religion. To intentionally, consistently, and emphatically remind us all of this is the task of religion. Religion in a time of crises. May it always be so. Amen. Our closing hymn, number 121. Please rise as you are willing and able. We'll build a land. Okay, so let's do this quickly. I need you to show some love to Maestro and to Andy. Okay, so I want to leave you with these words. I just found this morning. Life is not a to-do list. It's a gift. Walk slower, hug longer, laugh louder, love deeper. The clock may be ticking, but your presence is timeless. We've been conditioned to believe that constant productivity equals worth, but humans weren't designed for endless output. We need moments of wonder and connection, but most importantly, rest. Not as rewards for hard work, but as essential ingredients for meaningful life. See you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you all.